So last time we completed till 55th shloka. So 56 onwards we will be going on. So I will be in a natural pace only. Let it be one class extra, but I don't want to just run. Like still, it is like we are officially having some time. It is not that it is like on Monday. It is second. I feel so. The second was second or the fourth was the last day for this. So we are having sufficient time. It is not that till Monday anyhow I will be finishing. Mostly, if it is happening, then it will be today. And somebody can just tell me 8:15, then 8:15 anyhow I will be not teaching further. We are having two tests for that. So one is of the Vani Mataji and one is Pandurang Charan Prabhu. So these two tests, it will take me another half an hour maximum. So 8:15 I will be ending here. I will not able to go further after that. So shloka number 56. Sarva karmani api sada. Please.
Sarva karmani api sada.
Kurvano matashraya.
Kurvano
madashraya.
Mat prasadat vapnoti. Shashvatam padam avyayam. Translation and the purport, one Prabhuji or Mataji, the five shlokas that person will be continuing.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Okay.
Yes, Subharapu.
Translation. Though engaged in all kinds of activities, my pure devotees, under my protection, reaches the eternal and imperishable abode by my grace. Hare Krishna. Though engaged in all kinds of activities, Arjuna should depend upon Krishna and work always under his protection. That's for the next verse, I think.
Yes.
Since inactivity is not an option, Arjuna has only two choices: to work under Krishna's authority or to work under the dictation of the modes of nature. Srila Prabhupada writes in his purport, the word Prashar here means under the protection of Supreme Lord, to be free from material contamination. A pure devotee acts under the direction of the Supreme Lord or his representative, the spiritual master. There is no time limitation for a pure devotee. He is always 24 hours in a day, 100% engaged in activities under the direction of Supreme Lord. To your devotee who is thus engaged in Krishna consciousness, the Lord is very, very kind, in spite of all the difficulties. He is eventually placed in the transcendental abode or Krishna Loka. He is guaranteed entrance there. There is no doubt about it. In that supreme abode, there is no change. Everything is eternal, imperishable, and full of knowledge. Shall I continue, Prabhu?
Yes, yes.
One may wonder how a devotee can be so confident of attaining the Lord's abode. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur explains. Arjuna says, but a jnani comes to the stage of nishkarmya and achieves sayujna only after many lifetimes of various austerities and only after all the material action of his senses are ceased. How is it then that the devotee attains your eternal abode simply by taking shelter of you, even though they are still engaged in karma and still have material desires? Yeah. Krishna says, by my grace this happens. You should understand that my mercy is inconceivable power.
So the 56th shloka here, Krishna is saying that Naishkarmya is not an option for me. It is not that inactivity is the option for you, Arjuna. You have to work. You have to work. Either you have to work for this under the direction of dictation of the three modes of material nature, or under the dictation of me. So what is your option? What is your choice? Chetasa sarva karmani
Chetasa sarva karmani
Sarvakarmani
mayi sannyasi matpara
Mai
Mayi
Sanyasya
Sanyasi
Matpara
buddhi yogam upashritya
Buddhi Yoga
Upashritya
Upasritya
chitta sattam bhava.
Machitta
Satatam Bhava.
In all activities, just depend on me and work always under my protection. In such devotional service, be fully conscious of me.
So here now Krishna is taking Arjuna. That's why it is more confidential knowledge. It is like that Krishna is telling Arjuna that you should not work upon on your guna and dharma, but you should work for me and depend on me. As a devotee, a person has to depend on the Krishna, not on his own abilities or the scholarship. The first thing he has to depend on the Krishna. Then afterwards, the Krishna gives that matta smrtir jnanam apohanam. The Krishna says that I give. If you depend on me, I will be giving you whatever you require it. Ananyaschintayanto mam ye jana paripasate tesham nityam yuktanam yogakshimam vahamyam. Please, first thing is that please try to depend on me. That is the guna dharma one devotee has to have. But generally the people try to depend on their own things, own potentials. That is not an issue. Like all these potentials are been given by the Krishna. But the first and the foremost thing the Krishna wants is that be assured that I will be giving you whatever you are lacking. So don't think that it's like you are not having anything. It is like you are having everything if you are depending on me and my mercy. Verse 57.
Verse
Yeah.
57 describes the practical application of Krishna's instruction given in verse 56. In such devotional service, he should be fully conscious of Krishna. Srila Prabhupada further explains, when one acts in Krishna consciousness, he does not act as the master of the world, just like a servant. One should act fully under the direction of the Supreme Lord. A servant has no individual independence. He acts only on the order of the master. A servant acting on behalf of the Supreme Master is unaffected by profit and loss. He simply discharges his duty faithfully in terms of the order of the Lord. Now, one may argue that Arjuna was acting under the personal direction of Krishna, but when Krishna is not present, how should one act? If one acts according to the direction of Krishna in this book, as well as under the guidance of representative of Krishna, then the result will be the same. The Sanskrit word matpara is very important in this verse. It indicates that one has no goal in life save the acting in Krishna consciousness. No goal in life, I don't know, some word might be missing there. In life, save and accept and serve, I guess. In life, serve.
Serve and accept. So sorry, it is not save, it is serve.
Serve and accept acting in Krishna consciousness just to satisfy Krishna. And while working in that way, one should think of Krishna only. I have been appointed to discharge this particular duty by Krishna. While acting in such a way, one naturally has to think of Krishna. This is perfect Krishna consciousness. One should, however, note that after doing something whimsically, he should not offer the result to Supreme Lord. That sort of duty is not in devotional service of Krishna consciousness. One should act according to the order of Krishna. This is a very important point. That order of Krishna comes through disciplic succession from bona fide spiritual master. Therefore, the spiritual master's order should be taken as the prime duty of life. If one gets a bona fide spiritual master and acts according to his direction, then one's perfection of life in Krishna consciousness is guaranteed. Hare Krishna. Srila Baladev Vidyabhushan adds, in the manner that I have already explained to you before, with the words yet karoshi yet asanasi. After having offered the activities to me, you perform those activities rather than doing them and then offering them to me. The next three verses explain that that will be the result of following and not following Krishna's instructions.
So here Krishna's instructions has to be followed, and Prabhupada's purport, it's a really practical purport, where Krishna we are not able to see how we can follow. We have to follow matparaha. It's like whatever it is been instruction in this book means in the Bhagavad-Gita and in the Bhagavatam, the instructions as well as the authorities of the Krishnas, means like the Krishna has appointed some authorities in our life, following their instructions, that will help us that we are following the instructions of the Krishna. So in that manner, I have already explained to you before with the words Yat Karoshi and Yat Dashnasi. Krishna is now saying that Yat Karoshi Yat Dashnasi is not sufficient. He is saying that rather doing it for them, rather doing it for you yourself, you have to do it for me. Now Yat Karoshi and Yat Dashnasi, as per the Baldev Vidyabhushan, this is invalid now. Krishna is saying in 57th shloka, Yat Karoshi Yat Dashnasi is invalid now. The instruction is invalid now. I am telling you the further more higher instruction is that you have to depend on me, do it for my pleasure. That is the yoga I am telling you. So the Krishna is telling more and further and evolving his instruction here. Text 58. Machitta sarva durgani
Machitta sarva durgani
mat prasada tarishyasi atha chetvam ahankaram oshoshayasi vinakshasi.
Translation. If you become conscious of me, you will pass over all the obstacles of conditioned life by my grace. If, however, you do not work in such consciousness but act through false ego, not hearing me, you will be lost. Hare Krishna.
So the Krishna is telling what is good and what is bad now. He is clear cut in his instructions now. If you do this, what will happen? If you hear me, what will happen? You will attain my grace. And however, you are not doing in such consciousness, but on the basis of your false ego, you are doing it, then you will be lost. Krishna is now concluding in the 18th chapter. He is concluding. He is saying that what is the benefit of following my instructions? So the Krishna is giving the ultimatum to Arjuna. Yad ahankara ashritya
Yat ahankaram ashritya
Vopsya iti manyase Yaisa vyavasayaste Prakritistvam niyokshati. Translation.
If you do not act according to my direction and do not fight, then you will be falsely directed. By your nature, you will have to be engaged in warfare. Again, commentary. It is interesting to note that Krishna has just said that Arjuna, by his nature, whether he desires to surrender to Krishna or not, what will his activities be? Fight. Yet Krishna has been preaching to Arjuna through 17 and a half chapters, telling him to surrender and fight again and again. Here Krishna says, even if you don't surrender, by your own nature, you have gone to fight. Was it necessary for Krishna to preach to Arjuna to fight? Yes, But he's just said that even if he doesn't don't surrender, he will have to be engaged in warfare. So he's gone have to fight anyway. He's going to have gone fight. He's got to fight anyway. Yes. It is not to get Arjuna to fight exactly that Krishna has been preaching all this time. It is to get him to fight in proper consciousness, in Krishna consciousness. Therefore, Krishna tells to him, surrender, and surrender means you fight on my order. These people has Krishna has already explained, Bhishma, Karna, Drona, etc. All these warriors are already killed by me. I have come to destroy all of them. Krishna has already killed them. He does not need Arjuna to fight to win the battle. But it is in Arjuna's interest to become a servant of Krishna. It is in the interest of all living entities to serve Krishna. It is not in Krishna's interest. It is not in our interest to surrender to Krishna and fight for him. Srila Prabhupada once said in a conversation, we want Arjunas or we want no one. We have to be ready to surrender, and then after surrendering, then work on behalf of Krishna. That is bhakti. This is the difference between bhakti and nishkama karma. Bhakti is you surrender and then you work. Nishkama karma is you work, then you surrender the results. That attachment to work is there, and if not, ultimately is considered bhakti. It leads to bhakti if one is in proper association.
So here Arjuna, no, the Krishna is saying that anyway you are going to fight. Now you are saying that you will leave this battlefield and you will ask for the begging bowl and you will go there. But after that you will realize, lament, and then again come back for the fighting. But now it is like a good option for you. You have to hear me, surrender, have the good consciousness of the fighting, and that is the option I am giving it to you. So here then the last two lines it was saying that the Naishkarmya and the Bhakti, the difference is first the surrender and then work for the Krishna. And then the Naishkarmya is first work and give up the results. But the Bhakti is always a Shrestha, is always higher than the Naishkarmya. So here Krishna is saying that just surrender to me, obey me, whatever I am saying, and work for me. Here I am telling you the pure devotional service. I am not telling you what is your occupation now. Previously, I told you what is your occupation. You have to work on your occupation. What is a Shastra Dharma? That I told you, but I am not now going to tell you the Shastra Dharma because you are the Kshatriya. That's why you have to fight. I am not going to tell you this one. I am telling you because I want you to fight. Now you have to fight for that. That is the Krishna is now this 4 or 5 shlokas. Krishna is putting his energy to tell Arjuna that what is my inner mood, consciousness. Why I told you everything 17 and half like the chapters I had spoke, but now I am telling you what is my desire. The Krishna is telling his desires in these shlokas. Swabhava jena kaunteya swena karmana kartum nechasi yanmoha karishyasya avasyaupi sat. Yeah, translation.
Under illusion, you are now declining to act according to my direction, but compelled by the work born of your nature, you will act all the same, O son of Kunti. Krishna is preaching to all living entities to surrender to him for their own interest. Now, after describing how to come to Brahman platform, and then engage in devotional service, the next section describes the super soul platform. Hare Krishna. If Arjuna becomes conscious of Krishna, then he will pass over all obstacles of conditioned life by Krishna's grace. If, however, he does not work in such consciousness but acts through false ego, not hearing Krishna, he would be lost. If he did not fight, then he would be falsely directed by his nature and would have to be engaged in warfare anyway. Under illusion, Arjuna was declining to act according to Krishna's direction, but compelled by the work of his own nature, he would act all the same. Srila Baladev Vidyapur comments. Arjuna says, even though fighting is my dharma, I do not have the inclination because I fear sin caused by killing brahmanas and gurus. Krishna says, if you take shelter of false identity, thinking that you know what is right and wrong, and contemplate I will not fight, such resolve will definitely not bring results. Prakriti, my Maya, transformed as the mode of passion, will engage you, who have ignored my words in fighting in any way, which will cause killing of gurus and brahmanas. Being bound by your actions as Kshatriya, which arise from your impressions, you will fight anyway, even against your will. Hare Krishna. Therefore, one should not think that by rejecting the Lord's order, he becomes independent. One will remain controlled. The only difference will be that he will be under the control of material energy. Hare Krishna. Surrender to the super soul, 18th chapter 61 to 63. The Supreme Lord is in everyone's heart, therefore surrender to him and attain his eternal abode. This is the most confidential knowledge, and Arjuna should deliberate on it before acting. Hare Krishna.
So now to the surrendering to the super soul. This thing is Ishvara Sarva Bhutanam
Ishvara
Sarvabhutanam
Arjuna Tishtati
Siddhesha Arjuna
Deshe Arjuna
Tishtati
Tishtati
Kamayan Sarva Bhutani
Ramayanti Sarvabhutani
Sarvabhutani
Udhani Mayaya.
Yantra Rupani Mayaya.
Rudani Mayaya.
One else can now read now.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Can I?
Yeah.
The Supreme Lord is situated in everyone's heart, O Arjuna, and is directing the wanderings of all living entities who are seated on a machine made of material energy.
So now Arjuna has been addressed by Krishna that I am there everywhere. I am there in your heart also. I know what is the desires of everyone's, because I am situated in everyone's heart. Tameva saranam gaccha
Tameva
Saranam Gacha.
sarva bhavena bharata
Sarvabhavena Bharata.
tat prasadat paramam shanti tat
Sadat
prasadat
Paramam Shantim.
sthanam prapsyasi shashvatam.
Prapsyasi Shashvatam.
Translation. O Scion of Bharata, surrender unto him utterly. By his grace, you will attain transcendental peace and the supreme and eternal abode.
Yeah.
This Sarva Bhavena Bharata is also mentioned in chapter 15, text 19. Yomam evam asamuddha janati purushottamam sa sarva with bhajanti mam sarva bhavena bharata. Whoever knows me as the Supreme Personality of Godhead without doubting is the knower of everything. He therefore engages himself in full devotional service to me, O son of Bharata, Sarvavid. He knows everything. Bhajanti mam. Therefore, because of this knowledge, he worships me. How? Sarva bhavena bharata. In all respects. That is surrender. Surrender doesn't mean that one surrender something and holds back something else. That is not surrender, nor that so-called surrender ever blossom into prema or love. One has to surrender in all respects, and then that will blossom, grow into Prema Bhakti. Detecting that Arjuna is still unable to give up his false concept of being the doer and the knower, in verses 61-62, the Lord imparts even more confidential knowledge. The Supreme Lord is in everyone's heart and is directing the wanderings of all living entities who are seated as on a machine made of material energy. Krishna advises Arjuna to surrender unto him because by his grace one will attain transcendental peace and supreme eternal abode. Krishna declared this knowledge as most confidential. He tells Arjuna to deliberate fully and then do what he wished. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakura writes, as stated in the Shrutis, the Lord is situated in the heart. Why does he do? By his own Shakti, he makes all living entities engage in their respective actions. This is so because Svabhava itself cannot make the living entities do everything. The living entities, like artificial dolls attached to a device with strings, are made to move by Maya. Srila Baldev Vidyabhushana explains. Therefore, surrender to that Lord with body, mind, and all other elements. Then what happens? You will attain the eternal place with absence of all suffering, the abode of Lord glorified in the Shrutis as Tad Vishnu Paramam Padam. That person is none other than I, your companion. This has been stated by me before with Sarvasya Shaham Hridisani Vista. I, Krishna, am situated in everyone's heart. Bhagavad-Gita 15.15. It has also been stated by you and accepted by the Devas and Rishis with the statement Param Brahma Param Dhama. You, Krishna, are the Supreme Brahman and the Supreme Form. Bhagavad-Gita 10.12. I also have shown you directly by manifesting the universal form. Therefore, remain fixed in my teachings.
So here in this section, Krishna is telling that, okay, you can, if it is difficult to surrender me like that, then you can surrender to the super soul. That is the super soul now. And indirectly, he is telling that you have to surrender to me only. But now what is as per the faith of the Arjuna, he is again testing it out. Whether you are believing me as the supreme personality of God or not. But everybody remembers and they are worshipping or they are hearing from the super soul. Better you can surrender to the super soul. Brahmayan sarva bhutani yantra rudhani mayaya. Just like the people, they are working on that particular basis as if like somebody is dictating them. So here also I am dictating from within the heart of everyone that do it. Now I told you within the heart also, Arjuna, I told you that you have to fight. Arjuna's bewilderment came because he was having a very strong inner voice that fight, but his mind was saying that how can I fight? How can I fight? So the Krishna is telling that inner voice was super soul's voice, which is none different than me only. So you have to hear that inner voice, which is very strong. That was making you very confused. Now it is very much clear that inner voice is of the super soul. One has to hear that. Text 63. Iti te jnanam akhyatam
Iti te
Iti te jnanamakhyatam
guhyat guhyataram maya
guhyataram maya
imrishyate aseshena
vimrshayitad asheshena
yathechasi tatha kuru.
yate chasi tatha kuru.
Translation. Thus I have explained to you knowledge still more confidential. Deliberate on this fully and then do what you wish to do. Srila Prabhupada says in his purport, the Lord has already explained to Arjuna the knowledge of Brahmaputa. One who is in the Brahmaputa condition is joyful. He never laments, nor he desire anything. That is due to confidential knowledge. Krishna also discloses knowledge of the super soul. This is also Brahman knowledge of Brahman, but it is superior. Here the words Yatechasi tatha kuru. As you like, you may act, indicate that God does not interfere with the little independence of the living entity. In Bhagavad-Gita, the Lord also has explained in all respects how one can elevate his living condition. The best advice imparted to Arjuna to surrender unto the super soul situated within heart. By right discrimination, one should agree to act according to the order of super soul. That will help one become situated constantly in Krishna consciousness, the highest perfectional stage of human life. Arjuna is being directly ordered by the personality of Godhead to fight. Surrender to the Supreme Personality of Godhead is in the best interest of living entities. It is not for the interest of the Supreme. Before surrendering uh, to
Deliberate
because
on the subject. Yeah.
free to
On the
deliberate on this subject as far as intelligence goes. That is the best way to accept the instruction of Supreme Personality of Godhead. Such instruction comes also through the spiritual master, the bona fide representation of Krishna. Now Krishna has just explained the most confidential knowledge, which is surrender to super soul, but he will tell a even more confidential knowledge next. The next three verses reveal the most confidential knowledge of Bhagavad-Gita. Verses 64 to 66, the most confidential knowledge, Brahman realization.
here the Krishna has played one trick. He spoke that yathechasi tatha kuru. Everything he was like 4 or 5 shlokas. It was really with the good emotions, with the heavy emotions he was speaking. And then afterwards, he said that तुमको जो कुछ करना है वो कर लो. I am giving you the freedom. So it is really whenever somebody is, it is a way of counseling. The counselor has to give a freedom, but he has to give his emotions also. He has to tell that what is good. If you hear this, what is good. If you don't hear this, then what will happen? Every options has to be given to the counseling. And ultimately, the counselee is going to choose what the actions he has to do. So here, the Krishna is speaking such a way that you are going to doom if you don't hear such things. If you are going to do the things on the false ego basis, then you will be doomed. And then afterwards, suddenly Krishna is changing the gear. He is saying that Yatechasi Tatha Guru. I told you about that. This is about Brahman. I told you about that Brahmabhuta stage. Now, whatever you would like to do it, that is my part, I have done it. Then, if it is such thing, then why Krishna is speaking 64 to 66 shlokas again? If 63 here only, if 63 here only, Krishna is stopping and saying that तुमको जो कुछ करना है वो कर लो. Oh Arjuna, whatever you would like to do it. Then why he is speaking again? Isn't it a question? Whenever we say that आपको जो कुछ करना है वो कर लो, and again he is not giving a time to Arjuna also to speak, and he is speaking 64 shloka. That is a strategy also. That is, Krishna wants that Arjuna to fight. Krishna is now emotionally speaking to Arjuna. तुमको जो कुछ करना है वो कर लो. Arjuna was now convinced that I have to fight. Krishna made such a plan that Arjuna was convinced by this shloka only 63. he was totally convinced to put it over on that 64 to 66 shlokas are being spoken by Krishna himself. Sarvat guhyatamam bhuya
सर्वगुह्यतमं भूया
me paramam vacha
शृणु मे परमं वचः
ishtosi me dridam iti
इष्टोऽसि मे दृढमिति
tato vakshami te hitam.
ततो वक्ष्यामि
वक्ष्यामि ते हितम्
because you are my dear friend, I am speaking to you my supreme instruction, the most confidential knowledge of all. Hear this from me, for it is for your benefit. Krishna says that because Arjuna was his very dear friend, he will speak to him his superior in instruction, the most confidential knowledge of all for his benefit. In text 64, the Lord uses the word bhuya again to indicate that he already spoken this knowledge. Srila Prabhupada explains, the Lord has given Arjuna knowledge that is confidential, knowledge of Brahman, and still more confidential knowledge of super soul within everyone's heart. And now he is giving the most confidential part of knowledge. Just surrender unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead. At the end of 9th chapter, he has said Manmana, just always think of me. The same instruction is repeated here to stress the essence of the teachings of Bhagavad-Gita. Therefore, chapter 9, which contains the verse beginning Manmana Bhava Madbhakto, is entitled the most confidential knowledge. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakura writes in his commentary on verses 63 to 64. Thus, the 6 chapters teaching Jnana have reached their completion. These 6 chapters of the Shastra, Sri Gita, are jewels of spiritual education. They form part of the treasure chest containing the rarest secret of bhakti. The first six chapters dealing with karma form the golden lower part of the chest, and the third 6 chapters dealing with Jnana form the gem-studded cover. The bhakti found within is the most precious treasure in the 3 worlds. It has the power to bring Krishna under control. It shines brilliantly as the most excellent of precious jewels. The key to obtaining this jewel is the pair of verses on the cover of the treasure chest. The sacred 64 syllables beginning Manmana Bhava. Text 65-66. Seeing his dear friend Arjuna silently deliberating on Gita Shastra with deep meanings, the Lord felt his heart melt like butter out of compassion and said, my dear friend Arjuna, I will now speak the essence of this entire Shastra. You don't have to exert yourself anymore in this troublesome deliberating. Hare Krishna.
So this 65th and 66th shloka are the most important shlokas of the Gita. Most important shloka. Because it is Manmana Bhava Madbhakto and Sarva Dharman Parityajya. Manmana Bhava Madbhakto
Manmana Bhava
Adyaji Mam Namaskuru Mame Vaishyasi Satyam Te Jane Priyosi Me.
Translation. Always think of me, become my devotee, worship me, and offer your homage unto me. Thus you will come to me without fail. I promise you this because you are my very dear friend. In the end of chapter 9, almost exactly the same verse is there. Manmana bhava madbhakto madhyajimam namaskuru mayamayasyasi yuktaivam atmanam matparayana. Translation. Engage your mind always in thinking of me, become my devotee, offer obeisances to me and worship me. Being completely absorbed in me, you will surely come to me. 9.34. and that chapter was entitled The Most Confidential Knowledge. And here is that most confidential knowledge summarized by Krishna. In his purport, Srila Prabhupada says, the most confidential part of knowledge is that one should become a pure devotee of Krishna and always think of him and act for him. One should not become an official meditator. Life should be so molded that one will always have a chance to think of Krishna. One should always act in such a way that all his daily activities are in connection with Krishna. He should arrange his life in such a way that throughout the 24 hours, he cannot but think of Krishna. And the Lord's promise is that anyone who is in such pure Krishna consciousness will certainly return to the abode of Krishna, where he will be engaged in association of Krishna face to face. This most confidential part of knowledge is spoken to Arjuna because he is dear friend of Krishna. Everyone who follows the path of Arjuna can become a dear friend of Krishna and obtain the same perfection of Arjuna as Arjuna. These words stress that one should concentrate his mind upon Krishna, the very form with two hands carrying a flute, the bluish boy with a beautiful face and peacock feathers in his hair. There are descriptions of Krishna found in the Brahma Samhita and other literatures. One should fix his mind on this original form of Godhead Krishna. One should not even divert his attention to other forms of Lord. The Lord has multi forms as Vishnu, Narayana, Rama, Varaha, etc. But a devotee should concentrate his mind on the form that was present before Arjuna. Concentration of the mind on the form constitutes the most confidential part of knowledge, and this is disclosed to Arjuna because Arjuna is the most dear friend of Krishna's.
So it is very important that Bhaktivinoda Thakur also says that let my mind should always absorb the thoughts of the Krishna, not any other form or incarnation also. It is very difficult to digest such thing. Not any other form or incarnation like Varaha, Vamana, Narsimha, Rama, but only Krishna. That is Manmana Bhava Matpakto. Madhyaji. It is Madhyaji means what? That only me. Madhyaji Mam Namaskuru. So these are the things where Krishna is clear cut. His instruction is that only me, not Vishnu also. Not Vishnu also. Krishna. Shama Sundari Krishna. Yes. Just go on,
Krishna
ready.
concludes, think of me, become my devotee, worship me and offer your homage unto me. Thus you will come to me without fail. I promise you this because you are my very dear friend. Srila Prabhupada writes in his purport.
Yeah, same it is there. So this, I will not go through this. Text 66 now. Sarvadharman parityajya
सर्वधर्मान् परित्यज्य
mamekam sharanam vraja
मामेकं शरणं व्रज
aham tvam sarva papebhyo
अहं त्वां सर्वपापेभ्यो
mokshaishyami ma sucha.
मोक्षयिष्यामि मा शुचः.
Translation. Abandon all varieties of religion and just surrender unto me. I shall deliver you from all sinful reactions. Do not fear. One should abandon all varieties of religion and just surrender to Krishna. Krishna promises that he will deliver such devotee from all sinful reaction, and the devotee does not have to fear. In his purport, Srila Prabhupada explains that the complete surrender to the Lord is the only required qualification for success. One may think that unless he is free from all sinful reactions, he cannot take to the surrendering process. To such doubts, it is here said that even if one is not freed from all sinful reactions, simply by the process of surrendering to Krishna, Sri Krishna, he is automatically freed. There is no need of strenuous effort to free oneself from sinful reactions. One should unhesitatingly accept Krishna as the supreme savior of all living entities. With faith and love, one should surrender unto him. The particular words used here, ma sucha, do not fear, do not hesitate, don't worry, are very significant. One may be perplexed as to how one can give up all kinds of religious forms and simply surrender unto Krishna, but such worry is useless.
So there is one shloka that it is mentioned that first of all you have to be clean. What was that shloka? I'm forgetting that. It is mentioning about that it is like one has to be clean and then surrender to the Krishna. Now, but here this shloka it is mentioning about you don't have to be clean yourself, but it is like you have to surrender first, and I will accept everything. So there is like whenever the shlokas in 18 chapter it is coming, it is a conclusive and it is having more weightage than rest of the shlokas of the Gita. So whenever the Krishna is concluding something, then these are the shlokas where previous shlokas are not having that much weightage than this one. So whenever 18 chapter shlokas are coming and some other shlokas of the previous chapters, if they are contradicting each other, then the Balle Vidyabhushan says that 18 chapter shlokas are having the more weightage and one has to take it as a granted. That is, these are the shlokas one has to accept in their lives.
Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakura comments. Krishna says, previously I told you that you did not have the qualification for the most excellent unalloyed devotion to me. At that time I said, whatever you do, whatever you eat, and told you that your qualification was for Karma Mishra Bhakti. Now, however, by my special mercy, I have given you the qualification for unalloyed Bhakti. I have violated my own rule that unalloyed devotion may be obtained only when somehow or other one receives the mercy of pure devotee, just as I violate my own promise while fighting with Bhishma. After delivering the supreme knowledge of Bhagavad-Gita in verses 67 to 71, the Lord describes the process of disseminating this knowledge and results for those who hear, study and preach his message.
So now this section it is like that, preach and study the Bhagavad-Gita. So it is a practical application of the Gita is starting here. What has to be done? We are moving from the most confidential knowledge of all to become a pure devotee of Krishna and always think of him, to the next section about preaching and studying the Bhagavad-Gita. Text 67. Idam te nata pakshasya, idam te nata pakshaya
Idam te nata pakshaya
bhaktaya kadachana
Na bhaktaya
na cha shushruve vatyam na cha mam yo bhyasuyati. Translation.
This confidential knowledge will never be explained to those who are not austere or devoted or engaged in devotional service, nor to one who is envious of me.
Yes, to whom it has to be given. This confidential knowledge may never be explained to those who are not austere, because they will not able to understand what is that. The austerity means what? Some sort of the tapasya he has done it. Austerity means some sort of sacrifice he has done it. Either he has done some sacrifice or either he has done some shama dama tapas shaucham. Shama and dama, the person is doing, for that sort of person, this knowledge can be given easily and that person will be understanding it. We always see that the people don't understand the Gita and they don't acknowledge what is the Gita's contribution in their own life, what it can be. So the people say that it is the book which is 5,000 years back. What is the use of that in my life? And many of them are very innocent. For them, the Gita can be given. But those who are envious of Krishna, and those who don't want to do a devotional service to Krishna, either they don't want to admire Krishna, they wanted to blaspheme Krishna more. For such people, the Bhagavad Gita should not be given.
Okay, I have one question, bro, if I can ask.
Yes.
Then some people they ask that why you people directly distribute this Bhagavad Gita on roadside and signals and bus stops
Yeah. Why?
directly to people.
Why they are distributing the Bhagavad Gita in the roadside? And that is a question. What do you think that why we are distributing such things? Any thought process from your side?
Actually, if we it's not in direct manner. This what I was thinking is, if we see in our preaching course, we don't directly start explaining the Bhagavad Gita first. First, we give them some introductory teachings of who is body, what is body, what is soul, and from there we make them understand who is God, who are demigods, what is religion, this that.
Are we doing that? We are distributing the Gita on roadside. That you mentioned it now, Prabhuji. You yourself mentioned it. Are we doing that? We are doing it now? We are doing this Gita distribution every day. Every day the devotees goes out.
Correct.
So what is the answer? Anybody would like to help?
Prabhuji, I feel that those who pick up the Gita or those who take the Gita also, there is a past this one. Unless and until there is mercy, they will not take the Gita. But that is not the answer that we can give.
As per my understanding goes, this is like the 67 shloka. This one. This is like the most confidential knowledge. This is should not be given, na? Those who are not austere, those who are not devoted. But what is that? Why we are distributing in a roadside? Because
Chaitanya
there
Mahaprabhu's mercy.
are the percentages of the people, those who are devoted, or those who are astikyam, those who are having the astikyam, they are, or those who are very innocent, their percentage is more. In India also, in abroad also, those who are envious, grossly envious of Krishna or the God, their percentage is very less. And even if they come to the counter, they come across the devotees are having that logic to explain about them. What is the medium the devotee will be meeting to the envious people? Atul Govind Prabhu, is there any chance a devotee will meet the envious people, envious person. If he is not teaching the Gita, the devotee generally goes to that audiences where the people are interested to know the Gita, or they would like to crack such audiences where the Gita can be sold or distributed nicely. So the devotees outreach is for the Gita, is for the Lord. If they are not going out for the book distribution, if they are not going out for the weekly satsang, if they are not going out for the preaching sake, how they will come across the envious also? They will not come across, because we are happy with our own thing. We are not distributing the Gita. The envious people, their envy towards the Lord, with the logic, with the devotion, and with the ethical way of talking of the devotee and their behavior, that may change. The whole course of the enmity will change.
Correct.
That is the medium where the devotees will be going, and across they will be finding somebody who is envious, and the devotees also will learn how to talk with the envious people. By that, there are the chances of the envious person also turn to the devotee, or envious person also will mild his enmity or enmity towards the Lord. So the devotees are only the medium, and the Gita is the only cause by the devotees are actually going for the outreach. Either the devotees are going for the satsanga, either the devotees are going for the book distribution, either any of the thing. And whenever they are come across, they will be trying to defend. They will be trying to defend Krishna, and their logic, the devotees' logic will increase. The envious personalities, either their enviousness will increase or decrease, but something will happen. And there are the chances that it will be decreasing if the devotee is very sober, and he is very mild, and his dealings are attracting to that envious person. By that, the envious person will also feel attracted towards, and he will also hear something about Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Correct. Yeah. But Prabhuji, here there are chances also that if somebody we hear that they have thrown the Gita in dustbin and they have tore the Gita apart. So is that the offense will be there?
How many percentage of such occurrences are there at present moment? How many percent?
Almost very few negligence. Like,
and still the devotees take chance. Devotees are taking chance in Pakistan. Devotees are taking chance in Russia. We are taking a chance in Russia, because they were knowing that, okay, such things will happen wherever there are too much envious people. But we would like to save those who are very innocent also. Devotees, their aim is not to get frightened by the envious, but their aim is to find the innocent people. The preaching is spreading like a wildfire, where when the fire comes, it will be burning the dry wood, but it will be having the effect on the wet wood also. So whenever we are preaching, the dry wood, which is those who are very innocent, they will also become a devotee, but a wet wood, which is having this enviousness, that will also having some effect. So that is the thing why we are preaching.
yes, Prabhuji. Yes. Thank you.
Ya idam paramam guhyam
Idam paramam guhyam
bhakti
madbhakti
bhaktim mai param krutva ame vaishyati asamshaya.
ममैव
मामे
संशयः.
Yeah.
translation. For one who explains this, sorry, Mataji, please.
For one who explains this supreme secret to the devotees, pure devotional service is guaranteed. And at the end, he will come back to me. Commentary. Srila Prabhupada explains in his paper, generally it is advised that Bhagavad-Gita be discussed amongst the devotees only. For those who are not devotees will understand neither Krishna nor Bhagavad-Gita. Those who do not accept Krishna as he is and Bhagavad-Gita as it is should not try to explain Bhagavad-Gita whimsically and become offenders. Bhagavad-Gita should be explained to persons who are ready to accept Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. It is a subject matter for the devotees only and not for philosophical speculators. Anyone who tries sincerely to present Bhagavad-Gita as it is will advance in devotional activities and reach the pure devotional state of life. As a result of such pure devotion, he is sure to go back home, back to Godhead.
And this is a very important sloka where this gives, when I came across first time, that my mentor used to tell me that to boost me, to give me a boost for preaching. And he used to quote this sloka. Nachatasman manusheshu
न च तस्
कश्चिन में प्रिय कृतमा भविता न च मे तस्मात् अन्य प्रियतरो भुवि. I was asking the question always that in my initial days, how can I become dear to Krishna? How can I become dear? Then my mentor used to tell me that if you preach about Krishna, Krishna says that in 18.69 that the person who is preaching this message of mine, he will be the most dear person to me. Yeah.
There is no servant in this world more dear to me than he or not. Will there ever be one more dear?
It is understood meaning is that the person who is preaching. Adhyasate cha imam, sorry. Aranyam samvadam avyaya. Jnana vidnena tenaham ishtasyam iti me mati.
And I declare that he who studies the sacred conversation of our worship me by his intelligence.
Yeah, so he is also very dear to me. So not only the preacher, Krishna is saying that not only the preacher, the person who is preaching about me, but who is studying that part, the devotees should take it very seriously. Not in the preaching sake, okay, so I'm just quoting the Gita, I'm talking to the people. How scrutinizingly I will be studying. Prabhupada used this word many times, scrutinizingly studying. That's why it is the Bhakti-Vedanta purports has to be studied very scrutinizingly. That what is written in that particular shloka, in that particular purport, what Prabhupada has mentioned it, one has to understand nicely. And why Prabhupada is speaking in that particular shloka, this point, that is also has to be known to the person. Shraddhavan Anusuyascha
श्रद्धावानसूयश्च
Tunayat Apiyo Naraha
शृणुयादपि यो नरः
Topi Mukta Subhal Lokan
Sopi
Sopi
मुक्तसुखलोकान्
Prapnuyat Punyakarmanam.
प्राप्नुयात्
and one who listens with faith and without envy becomes free from sinful reactions and attains to the auspicious planets where the pious dwell. Not only one who studies, but even one who hears, as long as he hears without envy, is greatly benefited. And Srila Prabhupada explains in his purport, in the 67th verse of this chapter, the Lord explicitly forbade the Gita's being spoken to those who are envious of the Lord. In other words, Bhagavad-Gita is for the devotees only. But it so happens that sometimes a devotee of the Lord will hold open class, and in that class, not all the students are expected to be devotees. Why do such persons hold open class? It is explained here that although not everyone is a devotee, still there are many men who are not envious of Krishna. They have faith in him as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. If such persons hear from a bona fide devotee about the Lord, the result is that they become at once free from all sinful reactions, and after that attain to the planetary system where all righteous persons are situated. Therefore, simply by hearing Bhagavad Gita, even a person who does not try to be a pure devotee attains the result of righteous activities. Thus, a pure devotee of the Lord gives everyone a chance to become free from all sinful reactions and to become a devotee of the Lord. Rules for instructing Gita. This confidential knowledge may never be explained to those who are not austere or devoted or engaged in devotional service, nor to one who is envious of Krishna. Krishna guarantees pure devotional service to those who explain this supreme secret to the devotees, and at the end of life, they will go back to him. Krishna declares that there is no servant in this world more dear to him than such a preacher, nor there will be ever one more dear. Krishna declares that whoever studies his conversation with Arjuna worships him by his intelligence. One who listens to this conversation with faith and without envy becomes free from sin and attains the auspicious planets. Srila Prabhupada writes in his purports to verses 68 and 71.
Yeah,
Generally-
same thing is there. So I will not be going into that. So verse
Okay.
6, 72, 73, Arjuna is determined to act according to Krishna's instructions. After hearing the Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna is fixed and determined to act according to Krishna's instruction. Kaschit etashritvam partha
कश्चित् एतच्छ्रुतं पार्थः
ekagrena chetasa
कैकेन चेतसा
kaschit ajnana sammoha
कश्चिदज्ञानसम्मोहः
pranataste dhananjaya.
प्रणतस्य धनञ्जय
Translation and purport.
O son of Pritha, O conqueror of wealth, have you heard this with an attentive mind? Are your ignorance and illusions now dispelled? If Krishna, the teacher, is asking Arjuna, his student, do you understand now what you have to do? Have you heard properly? And why is Krishna asking this? Because out of his great patience and affection for his student, Arjuna, who was surrendered to him, if Arjuna have not been able to understand, Krishna was fully prepared to explain the entire Bhagavad Gita again. The actual result
O conqueror of wealth, Have we heard this with an attentive mind? And are your ignorance and illusions now dispelled? So this is the way the counselor also has to ask the counselee. आपको समझ में आया क्या? What I spoke right now. So you have to tell me. So here he is giving a chance to open the mind of Arjuna. There is whenever the counselee is coming to us in a confidence and he is asking some questions, we are giving the guidance, and at the end we have to ask whether you know that. आपको ये समझ में आया क्या? Whether you understood it, what you understood that. This is the way the counselor should ask, and Krishna is the best counselor for everyone. Krishna is giving a chance to Arjuna to speak now. Have you understood, Arjuna, what I spoke? What is my emotions? The actual result from the Bhagavad-Gita. Now, what is the result of the Gita? Yeah. Please.
Krishna asks Arjuna if he has heard these instructions with attention. He inquires whether his ignorance and illusion have now been dispelled. Arjuna says that he has regained his memory by Krishna's mercy and his illusion has gone. He says that he is now free from doubt and was firmly prepared to act according to Krishna's instructions. Srila Prabhupada explains in his purport to Srimad Bhagavatam 2.4.19, in the beginning, Arjuna placed himself as one of those who desire self-satisfaction, for he desired not to fight in the battle of Kurukshetra, but to make him desireless. The Lord preached the Bhagavad-Gita, in which the ways of Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Hatha Yoga, and also Bhakti Yoga were explained. Because Arjuna was without any pretension, he changed his decision and satisfied the Lord by agreeing to fight. Karishye Vachanam Tattava, BG 18.73, and thus he became desireless. Hare Krishna.
So this is the result of the Gita, this shloka. Arjuna Uvacha.
Arjuna Uvacha.
Nashto moha smritir labdhva.
Nashtam Smritilabdha.
Prasadan maya achyuta.
Prasadan maya achyuta.
Prasadan Achyuta.
Chitosmi gata sandeha.
Stitosmi gata sandeha.
Karishye vachanam tava.
Karishye Vachanam Tava.
Translation.
Arjuna said, "My dear Krishna, O infallible one, my illusion is now gone. I have regained memory by your mercy. I am now firm and free from doubt and am prepared to act according to your instruction." After surrendering to Krishna and hearing from him, then Arjuna was prepared to fight according to Krishna's instructions in proper consciousness, Krishna consciousness. According to Srila Baladeva Vidyabhushan in verse 73, Arjuna says, all the living entities such as devas and men have the conception of being their bodies and being independent in their own actions. Men worship the devas and the devas bestow on men what they desire. But who is the real God? I previously had the illusion, the opposite of knowledge, that Prakriti is the cause of the world. In contrast to that, I thought the Lord was without qualities and form and was different to men's affairs. That illusion has been destroyed by the teachings acquired from you. I have now true knowledge of that Lord, who is the famous possessor of form and powers, a form of knowledge and bliss, who is an ocean of good qualities such as omniscience, omnipotence, and Satya Sankalpa. Who is the friend of his devotees, though the Lord of all, who creates the variegated bodies in the universe according to the karmas of the jivas, just by his will, through his energies of jiva, time and prakriti, who treasures the selfless devotee to whom he gives even himself. And I understand that the Lord is you, the son of Vasudeva, situated as my friend. Therefore, I surrender to you. You will never abandon me. This doubt has been destroyed. If you gave your goal of ridding the earth of its burden, and you want me to have surrendered to you to do it, then I will obey your words. Thus Arjuna rose with bow in hand. Verses 74 to 78. Prediction. Sanjaya ecstatically thinks of the wondrous form of Krishna and predicts victory of
predictions. It is Sanjaya's predictions. Sanjaya ecstatically thinks of the wondrous form of Krishna and predicts victory for Arjuna, the supreme archer, and Krishna, the master of all mystics. I feel we are going to end only. So it is 20 minutes are there, and this five shlokas are there. We will be ending. We will be reading the translation only then.
Okay.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
The last five shlokas somebody else can read now.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yeah. Translation. Sanjaya said, "Thus have I heard the conversation of two great souls, Krishna and Arjuna, and so wonderful is that the message that my hair is standing on the end."
So the person who heard this message, what is his reactions, and what should be our reactions also? Sanjaya heard that, and his bodily hairs stand on the head like that. And now, what is our reaction? Same reaction should come to us, because we are now on this shloka 74, and the Bhakti Shastri, this Gita is ending up. Whether the same thing are happening to us. Hare Krishna. The next shloka translation.
Translation. By the mercy of Vyasa, I have heard these most confidential talk directly from the master of all mysticism, Krishna, who was speaking personally to Arjuna.
Yeah, please.
Will I continue, Prabhuji? Yeah, Sanjaya has heard the conversation of Krishna and Arjuna directly by Vyasa's mercy. It is so wonderful that his hair is standing on the end. Whenever he recalls this wisdom, this wondrous and holy discussion, he feels pleasure, being thrilled at every moment. He remembers the wonderful form of Sri Krishna.
Please read.
And he is struck with the wonder more and more, and he rejoices again and again. He concludes that wherever there is Krishna, the master of all mystics, and wherever there is Arjuna, the supreme archer, there will certainly be opulence, victory, extraordinary power, and morality.
Yes. Next translation.
Translation. O King, as I repeatedly recall this wondrous and holy dialogue between Krishna and Arjuna, I take pleasure being thrilled at every moment. In his commentary on verse 76, Srila Prabhupada describes the result of Krishna consciousness. The result of Krishna consciousness is that one becomes increasingly enlightened and he enjoys life with a thrill, not only for some time, but at every moment. Srila
Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur ends his commentary on Bhagavad-Gita after text 73. He writes, I made a commentary on following 5 verses in which are found the essential purpose of the entire Gita. But Lord Ganesha sent his mouse carrier to steal the 2 pages I had written. Not wanting to interfere, I have not rewritten those pages. Let Lord Ganesha be pleased. Obeisances to him. Thus I complete the Sarartha
Varshini.
Varsini commentary on Srimad Bhagavad Gita. It may it please the saintly devotee. May this sweet Sarartha Varshini, the commentary that rains down the essential meaning, given the delight to the give the delight to the Jataka bird, who are the Lord's devotees all over the world, and may its sweetness also shine in my own heart.
So here, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur Pant is saying that because his commentary, he wrote it, and actually one mouse came there, and he tore apart and he ate that, the 2 pages. And here he is saying that because Lord Ganesha is not allowing me to write these last 2 pages, because there is nothing like that to write down. So this last 5 shlokas, there is the emotions of the Sanjayas. So why you are writing down? But Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says that these are the emotions has to come to a devotee. It is required. So that's why I'm again writing down this. Even though the Ganesha feels that it is like this on 73rd of the shloka, it is like the Gita is ending. The Sanjaya is speaking something out of his emotions. But Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says that his emotions are really good. Those who are reading Bhagavad Gita, those who would like to distribute the Gitas, the same emotions, what I am distributing, what I am reading, that emotions, this is like the 5 shlokas. These are the shlokas one has to read first and then start the Gita, whether I am getting these emotions after this. So this is the shlokas where we have to read first. Then it is my personal understanding. These 5 shlokas one has to read first and then start reading the Gita. And then afterwards, completing, like the completion of the Gitas, we have to understand my feelings are not the same. I'm still very hard-hearted person. When will I become a devotee? When will I become a devotee like a Sanjaya? That moment one has to speak to oneself and says that I'm a rascal number 1. I am not changed yet. I will again read the Gita. Again, till the time these moments are coming in my life. Oh, my heart is changed now. So that's why the Gita has to be read again and again till the time this moments are coming in one's life. These emotions one is feeling. Yes.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Srila Baldev Vidyabhushan ends his commentary on Bhagavad Gita with the following words. Attaining the fulfillment of my desire, I immersed myself in the milk ocean of the Gita, but I have not been able to lift the jewel of the wonderful meaning out of this ocean, though I have understood them to some degree. In this way, my master, the joyful son of Nanda, with great delight, shows his affection for me. With care, Vidyabhushana has attended upon his commentary called Srimad Gita Bhushana. O devotees who are who are greedy for the sweetness of the prema of Sri Govinda, and who are filled with mercy, please purify this work.
Shloka 77.
Translation: wherever there is Krishna, the master of all mystic, and
Above, there is
sorry,
77.
O King, as I remember the wonderful form of Lord Krishna, I am struck with wonder more and more, and I rejoice again and again.
Yeah. The next translation.
Translation 78 Shloka.
We can recite
Wherever
this.
there is
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. We can recite this shloka. It is end. Yatra yogeshu Krishna.
Yatra
Yatra
yogeshu
Yogeshwara
Yatra partho dhanurdhara.
Yatra partho
Dhanurdhara
Yatra Shri Vijayo Bhutir.
Atra Sri
Vijayotir
Dhruva netir matir mama.
Dhruvani
Mama.
Translation: wherever there is Krishna, the master of all mystic, and wherever there is Arjuna, the supreme archer, there will be certainly be opulence, victory, extraordinary power, and morality. That's my opinion. Commentary. There, Sanjay is speaking to Dhritarashtra, who is wondering what is going to happen in this battle, who is going to win, and the Kauravas going to defeat Pandavas. Despite this fact that there are opposing Krishna, and Dhritarashtra was so eager. If we remember the way back from the beginning of the Bhagavad-Gita, when Sanjaya informed him that Arjuna had put down his Gandiva bow and his arrows and was standing in the middle of the battlefield, perplexed, and now after hearing the entire Bhagavad-Gita, Dhritarashtra being informed by Sanjaya that there is no hope for his sons to win, because wherever there is Krishna, there will be victory and all opulences and extraordinary power and morality. That is the opinion of Sanjaya. Srila Prabhupada says in his purport, from Bhagavad Gita, we can understand that to realize oneself by philosophical speculations and meditation in one process, but to surrender into Krishna is the highest perfection. This is the essence of the teachings of Bhagavad Gita, the path of regulative principles according to the order of the social life and according to the different courses of religion may be a confidential path of knowledge. But although the ritual of religion are confidential, meditation and cultivation of knowledge are still more confidential, and surrender unto the devotional service is full Krishna consciousness is the most confidential instruction. That is the essence of 18th chapter. And then by the end, in Bhagavad Gita, 5 principal subject matters have been discussed: the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the material nature, the living entities, the eternal time, and all kinds of activities. All this depends on the Supreme Personality of Krishna. All conceptions of the absolute truth, impersonal Brahman, localized Paramatma, and any other transcendental conceptions exists within the
Category understanding
category under the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Although superficially the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the entity, the material nature, and the time appears to be different. Nothing from the Supreme, but the Supreme is always different from everything. Lord Chaitanya philosophy is the inconceivable oneness and different. Inconceivable oneness and different. This The sixth philosophy continues perfect knowledge of the absolute truth. The living entity.
I can read now. This
Yes,
system philosophy constitutes perfect knowledge of the absolute truth. The living entity in his original position is pure spirit. He is just like an atomic particle of the Supreme Spirit. Thus, Lord Krishna may be compared to the sun and the living entities to the sunshine. Because the living entities are the marginal energy of Krishna, they have a tendency to be in a contact either with the material energy or with the spiritual energy. In other words, the living entity is situated between the two categories of the Lord, and because he belongs to the superior energy of the Lord, he has a particle of independence. By proper use of that independence, he comes under the direct order of the Krishna. Thus, he attains his normal condition in the pleasure-giving potency. Thus, end the Bhaktivedanta purport to the 18th chapter of the Srimad Bhagavad-Gita in the matter of its conclusion, the perfection of the renunciation. There is a further commentary by some other Acharya. Right in the end, a very nice point was made by Srila Prabhupada, how the living entity is marginal. This is the commentary of uh, one of Srila Prabhupada's disciple. I forgot his name. Tripurari Maharaj. Tripurari Maharaj. Srila Prabhupada, how the living entity is marginal. If he associates with the matter, he will become weight. He will become matter conscious. But yet, on the other hand, if he associates with the spiritual energy, we will become elevated in Krishna consciousness. This is the secret of Krishna consciousness. It is association. If one drifts away like a raven cloud, one will dissipate, but not really, because whatever one gains, it will be always his benefit. Thus ends the study of the chapter 18. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
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 Hari Bol.
So it is 8:15. Now Panduranga Sharan Prabhu will be giving a test. Rest others can go now. And then one Mataji, Vani Mataji's, her test is there. After Panduranga Sharan Prabhu, because she will be having a test of Ishopnishad and NY.
Yes, Prabhu.
So Panduranga Sharan Prabhu, are you ready?